Are you racing 70.3 Barcelona on the 1st of October? If so, this video is for you because I'm going to talk through some key swim, bike, run, and transition tips specific to the Ironman 70.3 Barcelona course. My name is Stephen Moody. I'm an Ironman U certified coach and a veteran of Barcelona. I have done the full 4 times with a PB of 9:40. And I have a lot of athletes doing this course every year, so I know it well. And I'm happy to share this knowledge with you to help you have a better race day experience. And at the very end, there's a bit of a giveaway that I actually will even help you further be more prepared and forearmed for what will be hopefully a great day in Spain for you. Okay, so let's get going. As I said, we'll cover swim, bike, run, and transition 1, transition 2 tips as we go along. I'll talk about some key training sessions you do between now and race day, and a little bit of non-training prep, which is also key to make sure in terms of nutrition, etc., equipment choices. Okay, so this is your swim course for the 70.3. It is a 1-loop L-shaped course. It's in the seawater in Barcelona is crystal clear. There are some marine life. You possibly will see the odd jellyfish, but nothing to write home about. It can be choppy, and certain times, I think there was a swim that they shortened due to a storm coming in, but of the last 6 years, that's only happened once. So hopefully we'll get a nice calm swim. Some key advice if you are a first timer is to make sure that when you're doing your Ironman swim, you seed yourself accordingly. Ironman has done away with mass swim starts where everyone just piles in at the start, just due to safety concerns, and it made a lot of people nervous about the race. Now they would do what is called a seeded swim start. How this works is you give yourself a time, work out a time you expect to cover the 1.9k swim. And if that's, under 30 minutes, you will find on the race morning, there's a guy with a big yellow stick that goes under 30 minutes. You go into that corral. If you're more human like myself and I'm finishing around 35 minutes, you go into under the 35-minute corral. It's key that you actually seed yourself correctly, because your timing chip only works on the time you pass the timing chip on the beach. So you do not get any advantage from going in earlier if you're a weaker swimmer. You do pick up 2 disadvantages in the sense that the stronger swimmers will swim over you, because you're just slowing them down. And also you will lose the chance to draft, i.e. swim behind someone who will do a little bit more of the legwork for you, of swimmers of similar ability. So seed yourself accordingly. You'll know that you should have done some open water swimming and as part of your practice. We'll talk about the key sessions. And you'll get an idea. You roughly swim 2 minutes per 100 or you're 2:30 and all the rest, and use that as your time. Because then you'll come up on race day, and when they start letting people in, they have the metal gates that hold you in. There'll be volunteers holding their arms like this. And each time the beep will go every 3 seconds, they'll take their arms up and 5 athletes will go in at a time. Make sure you're in the right corral. It is a little bit shallow going in, so again, don't belt in, but then there is a bit of a drop. So get ready. Just be careful when you're running in, not to sprint in and then suddenly find yourself dunked all the way down. A tip with that, by the way, is to use 2 swim caps. One, your own swim cap, and then your goggles on underneath it, and then the Ironman swim cap that you have to wear as part of the race day kit. On top, that will make sure your goggles are secure, because you do not want to swim 1.9k without your goggles. As you can see, there are 4 turning buoys. The turning buoys that typically in Ironman races are red and larger. Use them as sighting points. We'll talk about that in a minute. So this is where it can get a little bit more congested and physical. If you try to take the shortest line from A to B in a buoy, it's that way, straight across. And what happens there is a lot of swimmers end up getting bumping into, arms get caught, people get pushed down, etc. If you're a nervous swimmer, go wide at these. Yes, you'll add on a couple of meters, but in the greater scheme of things, you'll have a much nicer swim. The yellow buoys will be directional ones. Just make sure you keep them on your left. Swim up. And when we talk about sighting off the red buoys. Sighting is how we make sure we swim in a straight line. And effectively, that means every 6 to 9 strokes, depending on your pattern, that instead of having your head down, you lift your head up and you look to see what direction you're going. So in this course, there's not really any big kind of landmarks because you're in the middle of the sea to kind of use. Typically, you'd aim for a building, typically you aim for a bridge, a lighthouse, etc. In this direction, the only thing you're really going to be able to sight off are the buoys. So the big red buoys, if you pop your head up and you see the red buoy is straight in front of you, super, you're going in the right direction. If you look up and you see the lighthouse, you're going the wrong direction. Again, turning here, the final sighting point will actually be the big black arch that you go through, and you'll be quite happy to be heading towards that. In your swim, key in 70.3 swimming is drafting as much as possible. We spoke about it earlier, that when you draft, when you're swimming right behind someone or on their feet or on their hip, and essentially they're doing a bit of the leg or donkey work for you because they're breaking the water tension. Another way, in a pool, when you swim behind someone, it's easier because they seem to be doing most of the work. And that's what you're trying to do. You can do this in the swim, you can't do it in the bike. So if you possibly swim behind someone, swim on their hip, find something, ideally if you've got a couple of mates going and they're roughly the same level, work together, it'll make the swim a lot more effective. And it's all about conserving energy in the swim. Okay, towards the end, just when you have passed your final kind of turning buoy, I recommend kicking your legs a little bit more than you have been before. Why? Because if you think about it, you've been swimming horizontally for whatever, the last 30, 40 minutes, and then you pop up, all the blood drains down to your legs and you feel a bit faint. If you kick your legs a bit more, it increases the circulation and gets rid of that jelly legs. Another key tip is don't pop up. Slowly ease yourself up off the ground when you're coming in. And when you're swimming, only when you start feeling the sand under your hands, only stand up then, because otherwise you see people stand up too early and they're having to wade through lots of heavy water. It's more effective to keep swimming until you start digging sand. Okay, look, that's our swim. We have done our swim. We are feeling like an absolute champion. 1.9K in the bag. Perfect. Now we must transition. Transition advice. One of the key things about the Barcelona transition, it is compact because you have the 70.3 and the full guys all together. And the transition area is in kind of this Astro football turf, football pitch, which they take over. So it's not hugely spacious. So therefore you will have space for your bike, but it will be crowded. This is important in terms of your recce for when you do the day before. When you're racking your bike, and make sure you find very identifiable points where you can find your bike. Because if you think about it, you'll come in and lots of things have happened. You've been swimming for over 40 minutes and you're running, you're excited about the bike. You don't want to be that guy who's running around looking for his bike. So key thing is the day before, where do you rack your bike? Find an easy way of finding it. In Barcelona, they use lettered racks, so A, B, C, D. So find out you are between A and B. Cool. That's where I'm halfway up that, and just mentally note that down. So you will know where you're coming and going after you've picked up the blue bag and done and changed out a wetsuit. In relation to that, Ironman is very specific in terms of transition rules. It's not like your local domestic tri where you have your bike and you have your wetsuit and you have your helmet and your runners all the same place. You have to use their transition bag system. And it's a blue bag from swim to bike. It's a red bag from bike to run. It sounds a little bit confusing, but not really. Essentially, you have to, when you come through T1, you have to take your wetsuit off in the changing tent, and then you chuck it into the blue bag, of which you will have had your helmet in the blue bag, and you take your helmet on, you put your race belt on, your bike shoes, etc. And it's more simple than it sounds, and I have a little video on it in the comments below that shows you how the bags work and recommends what you put in each bag, make things a little easier. Okay, all right, so we're flying along, and seeing as we're getting on so well and you're enjoying the video, polite request that can you please subscribe to my channel. As you can see, I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel by having these kind of race specific webinars, and I've loads of cool content. So if you subscribe, I guarantee you'll get more content out of this. There's videos on tapering, there's videos on how to pack, there's videos on your next race venue that you might pick that you're looking for some hints and tips. So as I said, if you could just please hit subscribe, we'll be friends forever. And I guarantee you good content, and I guarantee I'll help you get faster. Speaking of getting faster, back to the course. Here we are on the bike course. It's quite a simple course in terms of technicalities, and you can essentially, but it does have some nuances that you have to be very aware on. And really, you can break it into four main sections. One, the first 30 kilometers flat and fast on the motorway. The road surface is pristine, it's nice and smooth. It's a good time. Then you come to this kind of slight climb where you have come up out after a Mataro. This is between 30 and 40. In terms of the climb, and they put this in to break up the packs, which Barcelona was kind of famous for due to the flat, fast nature of it, and everyone coming out of the water more at the same time. So 5% 5 kilometer climb of roughly around 1.5% gradient. So it's not a punchy climb, but it is enough to start making you sort of think, was it you won't be on the aero bars, you'll just be sort of grinding up the hill. Obviously, then you come down the other side, and it's a flat, fast. It's quite a quick little descent, and you're back onto the main road again, where you go back on the motorway and you fly back up here to around 47 kilometers, and then you turn around. And then it's a flat, fast belt all the way back to transition. There are some little key things you need to be aware of. The first kilometer out, when you come out of transition and past the mount line, it's a really narrow road, and it's got, speed bumps, it's got kind of manhole covers, etc. So it's actually quite dangerous, especially when you think about people are trying to get their bike ready, they're trying to put their bike computers on or messing with the bottles, they can drop stuff. So be very careful here. It isn't no pass zone anyhow, but just be really situationally aware, because people drop their tool bottles on us, and you see this all the time. Take it easy in the first kilometer. Use it to get your breath. Use it to kind of take a bit of liquid on. It's a bit of nutrition on. It is flat and fast, but do remember it will get congested because you've got both the full and the half on the same day, which is unusual enough. So there will be around 4,000 cyclists on this course at any time, and it is looped. So there's the full guys are doing 4, you doing 2. It can get congested. Packs will form. Try to keep clean, stay out of them, because they will do liberally handing out penalty cards, and you don't want to end up in one of these penalty tents. And also when you're cycling, be very clear if you're overtaking or if someone's coming by you. Talk to one another. Have a lot of situationally situationally aware and communicative. You've got to tell people if you're coming, if they're overtaking you, etc. Or if they're drifting, just shout. Okay. And there's around 6 roundabouts, these large, wide roundabouts, that essentially they've got these little dimples on the outside, and then have a little bit of a dip in. So don't try to cut them tight, because what happens, you'll clip the dimples and might go into the little groove. Go wide at the roundabouts. Do not try to get as close as you can. It's a safer course of action. Aid stations, there's lots of them: 19, 31, 50, 62, and 82. Make sure you have these guys dialed into your nutrition. Check out the athlete guide to see what they are serving. I presume it'd be the Morton gels as well, and Gatorade, and work out what those are calorific in wise. I'll talk a little bit of nutrition later on. But make sure you're dialed in on that. You know what you're going to take, and it will be typically a hot day, so make sure you're keeping on top of your hydration and your electrolytes with Gatorade, etc., or whatever sports drink you're taking yourself. It is a fast course, but again, just be careful on it. Transition 2, still compact and still kind of congested. So remember, now you also should have done your walkthrough from the other side, as in this is where the dismount line is. I have to wind around here. Where am I coming in? Where do I need to drop on my bike? I'm still between A and B, those numbers, those letters. And then what am I running towards? I'm running towards that big lampposty thing. Again, just make it easy for yourself. The red bag this time, where you will put your helmet in, you'll take your runners out, you'll put your visor on, your sunglasses. Do have something for your head. It can get hot and all the rest, and you want to keep the sun off. Again, all explained in the IRONMAN 70.3 transition bag tips. Okay, so listen, we are flying along. I'm hoping you're liking this, and if you are, just don't be afraid of giving it a little thumbs up down. That's the only thing I've asked. Subscribe and a like. Well worth it for the free info, isn't it? Thanks, guys. Run course. It is 2 loops and a bit of a dog leg to bring it up to 21k. It's flat. It's a mixture of surface of concrete, tarmac, and there's kind of like this bit here's a little bit of dirt road, where you're kind of off the actual main roads for a bit. Not cross country, but it's just that kind of hard impacted sand. There's a bit of boardwalk as well when you run on those planks. The run surface in generally is very nice. There's not a hill in sight. I would recommend to the first timer, if you are doing this, do not think, oh, I'm running a half marathon, that's a huge amount. Break this into 3 7k blocks. And the first one, how you pace this is conserve your energy first. When you might come off, you feel like a champ, you've nailed the 90K, and it's probably faster than you expected because it is a fast course. And then just to go, wow, I'm an absolute hero. I'm on fire here. I'm running 6-minute kilometers. I never used to run 6-minute kilometers. That's a warning sign. Slow down, take it easy. You're on adrenaline. The crowd is shouting your name all over the place, particularly around this area where the restaurants and all the hotels are. You what you call it? There'll be lots of your friends screaming at it. You get a big boost. Control your pace in the first loop. The first 7K, and then the second one, try to hit your kind of pace you were hitting on your long runs, your long bricks off the bike and all the rest. And then last 7K, just push for home. It's going to suck a little bit, but you start visualizing the finish line, start thinking about your why you're doing this. Have mantras ready to go. In terms of mantras are short, powerful statements that you use to kind of like snap you back into focus or take away negative thoughts. I do another video at the end about like how to mentally prepare for an Ironman, which is just as important as physically preparing, because you've done that. Now you need to do the mental game. Have all that together. Pull that out of the bag and the last, 7K party or run, and then just nail it. Fuel, aid stations roughly around every 2.5 kilometers. Do not miss an aid station, even if it's taking on a bit of liquid, if it's taking on some water or down your head to keep your core body temperature down. And getting on board fuel, you should have fueled quite liberally for the on the bike because you're fueling for the run. I talk about that in the next slide. But what you call it, these aid stations, do not miss them. Water, take Coke in the last few kilometers, get a kick up your arse, get you going, but never miss an aid station. Besides, you paid for it, you might as well take advantage. Pacing, we discussed above. Feed off the crowd energy. As I said, it's really it's thick and fast here and here, because this is where the roundabout is. So people are watching. Swim starts here. They walk up, they watch the roundabout here from the bike, and then they can see people like on both loops of the run. So this is a very, and it's got this finish. They've got a seating area in the finish area, and you run through that a couple times. Brilliant. Listen to the crowd energy, shout to people, high five people, have the crack. Have your finish line moves ready. Don't do this. Going over, and that's your finish line picture, the top of your head. The timing, it's timing shift. So sod that. Do your dab. Was it if you want to do, was it an airplane down it? If you, whatever you want to do, have it ready. Think about it for the last 3-4 kilometers. It will help give you kind of a little boost and distract you from the pain in your legs. This is what you're looking at, guys. This is the Ironman finish line. As you can see, you come around here, crowds be here cheering. You will get a lot of adoration for the huge achievement you have actually worked for so long to, and actually get there and milk the finish line. Do not sprint up if you want to save yourself 30 seconds. High five, kids. Say hello to the cheerleaders. Have a bit of fun with it. You deserve this. Right, so that's the race recap. Now I'm going to do a little bit of other non-race stuff that are in terms of that will help you for the key training sessions, also equipment stuff and logistics, and also that giveaway at the end. Okay, so these are the key training sessions I would have hoped that you would have completed, and if not, focus on them in the next couple of 3 weeks. It's a sea swim. Goes without saying, get in the sea, swim in your wetsuit, swim in tropical conditions, swim do it safely with your buddies, someone on the sideline with one of those swim boys, yarn jokes. Work on sighting and drafting. Make sure you're comfortable swimming in the sea. Do not turn up only just pool training and expect to be a hero. It's not going to work. Bike, you should be hitting the milestone difference of 90K at this stage, or moving towards it. Fine-tune your nutrition and your hydration strategies. Talk a little bit about that in the next slide. You should be practicing how you're going to eat food, what you're going to eat, when you're going to eat it, all that good stuff. Test your equipment. If you're using a TT bike, you should be, if you have it. You make sure you're working with your parameter, everything's working on the day. You have new helmet. Try it all out beforehand. Get all the kinks out of the armor beforehand. You do not want to turn up and go, oh my God, my parameter won't work with my new pedals. Work all the problems out. What you want to have is a stress-free lead into the actual race. Running, you should be hitting milestone difference probably up to around 18K, probably depending on your level. You probably will do that just as long, slow run, or as with some race pace efforts. Bricks of 3 to 5 kilometers as well. Just make sure you're kind of ticking that off. Make sure your legs can get moving straight off the bike. Same with nutrition and hydration. Are you going to live on gels? Are you going to eat jelly babies? Are you going to eat dates? Whatever you want to do. How are you going to carry them? How often are you going to take them? Race day nutrition. It's probably actually, as I said, what you need to work out long in advance before you hit Kayela is what you're going to eat, how are you going to eat it, how are you going to transport it, and how you're going to keep on track. There's loads of options here. I do another video in the comments below to actually go through all these details in terms of how setting up, excuse me, alerts on your Garmin, what food types you should try, and what the kind of formula you need to work on to make sure you have enough to fuel yourself for what will be a long day of exercise. But I'll give you a chance to go through that another time. Equipment and apparel. All right. So in terms of what you call it, what equipment do you need? Wetsuit. It will be a wetsuit swim. Goggles. Yep. Tinted goggles because the sun can be coming up is a good call. Swim hat, as in bring your own. As I said, you use that 2-hat trick. I'll put the video down below to show you what that looks like. To make sure your goggles are secure, you don't lose them. Tri-suit, big debate if it's your first time. Do you use tri-suit? Do you do a full change? I have a video on that. Again, essentially it's a trade-off between speed and comfort. I go through the options in the video below. Go with what's comfortable and then make sure you're actually testing it. Neck guard or body glide. This is something that a lot of age groupers kind of suffer from, myself particularly as well. When they start doing the open water swim sessions, they're kind of a rash on the neck because where the top of the wetsuit is rubbing against you. You can use body glide. Vaseline might damage the wetsuit. The body glide can tend to wear off, but this is one of my top tips. This neck protector is a little kind of rubber ring that goes around your neck. Way more comfortable it sounds like. There's another video into what it looks like below, and it has been saved my neck, pun intended, a number of times. If you want to try that out, get it in advance. It will, the best piece of kit I've ever bought. I think it was around 30 euros, but I've never had neck rash again because of it. Anyhow, it's there in the video to show you what I'm talking about is below, and the link to buy it is below as well on Amazon. Body glide, I use that even not on your neck. I use them on the arms and the legs because it helps the wetsuit come off quicker. And that's for your swim. The bike, is it a time trial or a road bike? It is 100% a time trial bike if you have it. And even if you don't have a road bike, ideally put some clip-on aero bars to mean you can get aero, because for 80% of the course, you're actually flat and fast, and you really want to be minimizing your your wind resistance, frontal resistance. You do that by getting more aero. Helmet, obviously, shades, cycle shoes, and socks. In Olympic and sprint distance, it's more typical not to wear socks because you save yourself like 10-15 seconds in transition, which is key, but not in iron distance. You're better off drying your feet and putting on dry socks. It's actually a very nice feeling. Race belt, make sure you bring that. Hydration, nutrition. Wind and rain jacket, might say the strange thing now that I'm talking all about, it's a really hot day, etc. Kayela can have little sort of mini storms. So I always recommend packing for every eventuality. And this means, imagine if it was a cold day in Kayela and it was windy and rainy, and all you were looking for to make sure you're comfortable on the bike was your favorite rain jacket. Make sure you pack it, and then on the morning of the race day, then sort of put it into your blue bag. And if you want to use it, you can use it. If you don't want to use it, just leave it in the bag. It's better to be looking for it than looking at it. Better to be looking at it rather than for it. As I said, so just make sure you give yourself that option. And speaking of weather, please ignore everyone on forums going to talk about what's the water temperature 3 weeks out, and what's the weather going to be like 3 weeks out. Rubbish. No one knows in 3-4 days out. You're just wasting mental energy. Just focus on getting your training right. There's lots of things you can focus on, and staying away from forums that are going to be negative stuff people talking about. I saw a jellyfish. Just negative energy. Right. Runners. Yes, this is me in your red bag. Your runners, Loctite laces. If you haven't got them, would recommend them because they speed up you getting your runners onto your feet by around a minute in transition. You don't need to tie laces, etc. They don't also slow you down regardless of what distance race you're doing. A really cool transition tip. Again, link to them in the comments below. Hat, visor, shades, socks. Definitely change into dry socks again, even if you avoided my option in T1. T2, definitely put them on for T2 because otherwise you'll get blisters and it will cause a very long, painful walk. Nutrition, I put this here even though personally, these days, now there's so many aid stations and so well stocked in Ironman races, I get my money back. I actually don't run with nutrition, and I take all the Morton gels, which are around $6 a go, from the aid stations, and I make a fortune. Well, not really. But anyhow, I feel a little bit smug when I get Ironman to feed me in the day. Socks. There we go. I'm a big fan of them. Post weight, change of clothes, ways of contacting your family and friends. These are going in your white bag. But they're my equipment recommendation, guys. Some cool things you could pick up. But that's for the commitment wise. You will be tapering soon, and this is what I tell people: stop looking on forums, stop worrying, but focus on what you can change. And what you can change and what you can organize is your final travel prep. Check your logistics, verify, make sure you book the bike box onto the plane, make sure you have the hotel in the right place. This is personally coming from someone who has booked hotels on the wrong side of islands for 3 Ironman. So much so, my friends will not allow me do any logistics. They allow me train them, but they will not allow me do any logistics. Suits me. How are you getting from the airport to the hotel? Top tip: train is the best way in Kayala. It's really fast. There's lots of them, very straightforward. One you just and they take bike boxes. Plan out your arrival time, what you need to be there. If you haven't booked your flights and stuff now and you're doing it now, I always recommend people go out 2 or 3 days before. I find it things will go wrong in travel. Your bags might get lost, your bike might get dented, or your derailleur might get misaligned. You want those extra few days in Kayala to actually get that sorted, to be stress-free. You don't want to be the guy or girl turning up local bike stop in a big queue of 30 people, all worrying because where brakes are rubbing, and they're looking at poor local bike shop guy is actually overworked. Get there early, minimize stress. You put too much time into the kind of like to shortchange yourself on a few days extra in the sun. You'll absorb the atmosphere. It's a good spot to be. Speaking of bikes, book a bike service before you travel. You want to make sure that everything is purring from at least before you actually get onto the plane. And there's no problems with ball bearings or brake pads, etc., etc. Again, just minimizing the stress. That's all key. Know what you need to pack. We'll go on to that now before we talk about the giveaway. Right, packing checklist. Be legit. Be structured about this. Separate list: swim, bike, run, and the other things you can't forget, which will cause you stress. Your QR code for the registration, you need that. Your ID, your actual national license. Chargers for your Garmins, for your DIT, or your electronic shifters. How many times we've seen on forums, anyone got a DI2 shifters? I'm in Kayala. Just bring them. Suntan lotion and training gear. You will have some shakeout sessions before the actual race. Make sure you've got all the kit for you. Wow, it sounds like a lot of lists and a lot of things to remember, but don't worry, I got you covered. There's a video in the links below with a really handy downloadable checklist. So even if you don't want me talk through all the stuff, you can just download the checklist and get yourself sorted. Okay, so we're almost finished, but there's the giveaway, which I'm going to come to right now. Air tags. Last thing that is linked in the comments below. If you're traveling with a bike box, I would highly recommend getting these Apple AirTags and tagging it to your phone. It worked a treat for me in Florida when I went over from Dublin, and my bike didn't show up, and the Aer Lingus guy was going, no, it's still in Dublin. And I went, no, and I pointed at my iPhone and went, it's here. Actually, it's over that building there. And he went, oh, okay. And he went and got my bike box. If I hadn't got my AirTag, I would have been in Florida, admittedly 5 days before my race, but it would have been a hard task to get the bike down to me. So anyway, Apple AirTags, throw them in your bike box. I talk about that in the video as well. It's an absolute genius idea. It's worth whatever the €30 per tag. It's just peace of mind, which is what you want. Okay, so the final giveaway. I think I've covered everything, but I guarantee there's questions you guys probably still have. So what I do is I offer a webinar, free webinar, by the way. No, I'm not looking for any money. That I will put on via YouTube on the 24th of September at 8 p.m. GMT. If you want to get registered with the webinar and get the invite, just email me to info@smartenduranceSolutions.com. That's the email there, and also it's in the links below. And again, as I said, I hope this video was useful. But I'd be delighted to have you on the webinar. We can have a little chat. You can ask any questions you have about Portaloos, about was it breakfast that you recommend, that I recommend. My favorite place to eat in Kayala. I'll have to write that down actually. But do please join if you can. If not, again, final ask, like the video, subscribe. Hopefully I have helped, and I will help you further before you get to the start line. It's going to be an epic weekend. I hope you have a really good race, and I hope to see you in the webinar.